G'day guys, Josh here. Okay, now you guys have been thinking for probably a bit, okay, given that the Lost Ark numbers have been announced, and there'll be a separate video for it a bit later, because I want to talk about those, and I want to talk about being careful about releasing those as well. But let's just talk about the first part. So I'll go drink my quick apple juice here, not apple juice, orange and mango juice. But let's get into the nitty gritty, okay? So what's happened in Lost Ark at the moment is that some of the legit players are starting to drop off, okay? Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, it's got to be because of the RMT and bots, okay? Let's go through the factors quickly here. So let's talk about the bots. Is it because of the bots? I gotta say right now, no, okay? People aren't quitting because of the bots, okay? Because if you're quitting because of the bots, you're a very minuscule amount, okay? Otherwise, you got to quit every single MMORPG that you've ever played because there are bots in every single MMORPG that's ever been released. They either come in slowly, immediately, over time. I mean, WoW still has bots. EverQuest has bots. I mean, all the oldest MMORPGs have had bots at one stage. Even RuneScape still has bots. It has a bot issue. But that's not the issue. Number two, RMT. RMT is always going to exist. It even exists in WoW still, okay? They don't even try to fend it off, but it still exists. People can buy gold. Like, you can realistically buy gold in any website. Someone actually said, oh, look, you can buy Lost Ark gold on these websites. I'm like, well, you can do that on WoW, a BDO, any MMO, you can do it. Like, it's not like Lost Ark is the only MMO ever that you can buy gold, okay? From Chinese gold sellers. It's not an issue. And a lot of people have said, it's a bit disappointing seeing RMT, and I can get caught up in the FOMO stuff of it. But that isn't even an issue either. It's not the RMT. Like, RMT and bots still exist in other games, and no one has quit those other games because of the RMT and bots, okay? No one has. Like, name, like, my reason for quitting WoW. It's just the gameplay and stress got to me for raid leading non-stop, and I felt like I was trapped in doing Mythic Pluses and raid lead the entire time, where I didn't get to experience or do different sorts of content, basically. And that's why I got burnt out of WoW. I was just only doing two things over and over again, which were just not fun to me. It was more stress relating rather than, entertaining. The gameplay. I'm very sure everyone complaining on the forums and stuff like that, especially given like most of the topics are like, come on guys, let's solve the bots, the queues and stuff like that. I don't think the gameplay is an issue. If people are concerned about the solving the queues and the bots, why? It's because they enjoy the game. The game is actually legitimately fun. The game is actually challenging. You need to put some puzzle pieces together as well. Good dodging, engravings, utilizing all these little systems to make your character the best you possibly can, okay, with what you've got. So if you're a free-to-play player, your biggest challenge is to operate with what you have to maximize the damage potential of what you've got. Now, if you're a gig away or one person just throws money at the game, you're probably still doing the same thing, but with a lot more materials at hand, basically, to maximize your characters to the maximum possibly could be with the amount of wallet that you have, basically. Now, I'll give you a good example of this as I'm an FTP player, basically. So as an FTP player, you can see here, like, with the engravings I maximize everything, this, that, like, even though they're not the best, but you can see, like, on every single piece, I'm trying to maximize to make sure I have my 4x3 and my 1x3 as well down here. And same with the gear as well, like, I try to maximize it as best as I can with what I've got. Same with the gems, okay? Same with the gems. Exact same scenario. I'm trying to maximize the best I can with what I've got. The cards as well, you can see here that I'm just slowly building up over time. It's not like, it's not a race for me. It's not a race for me. It's just basically a walk in the park, a marathon, as I go bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. And, that's one factor of it, okay? It's one factor of it. It's only a slow bit by bit process. Now let's get to the next part. The queues. Yes, they're a part of it. They're a part of the issue, okay? So more players spending time in a queue means more time they may want to look to another game where it doesn't have queues and they can just instantly play it just like that. And this is where the rival games come in, is that there's Diablo Immortal that's been released. And Diablo Immortal, kind of a similar vein to Lost Ark, but I gotta say a lot lesser. Gameplay is kind of similar as well, but lesser. No queues. You can get in right away. You can jump into a bunch of groups, and it's the new flashy toy, so it's got that honeymoon period of being a new flashy toy. It's got some negative reviews about some of its elements. It's still a new toy that you can play in right away. Similar vein to Lost Ark, probably less refined than Lost Ark. and it's an isometric game, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. It's a similar game in the vein of Lost Ark, and you can have just as much fun as on there compared to Lost Ark as well. You can have just as much fun, and you don't get the queues. And that's pretty much it. Basically, similar game, not much queues. Why not shove over there instead, not deal with the queues? And that's why the queues are probably one of the issues as well. And then the next part is that why are the queues an issue? Well, every time you spend a minute in the queue, since most people have limited time to play a game and the resets in a 24-hour period, the main part of it as well, as you've guessed it, the queues obviously, but guess what else goes with it as well? You're not playing the game, therefore you get falling behind in gear, and it gets worse and worse and worse, and that's exactly the next point. Not playing the game is actually killing the game, and that's why the queues are probably the main reason the game being killed. And someone goes, oh, that goes back to the bots. No, you actually can have no queues and a lot of bots on the server. It's actually possible. Blizzard have done that. That's the crazy part. Blizzard have actually done that, even though there was a flood of bots coming in. But the not playing the game part is the bad part, because Lost Ark doesn't have much catch-up mechanics, as per se, to catch up a main up to the current level of content. They have everything else for ults for tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 to speed them through. But when you try to get to mid-tier 3, like above Argos, into Volta and stuff like that, there is no many catch-up mechanics at all. There's no stronghold honing, buff or anything like that after 1370. It is just a hard grind trying to get yourself to 1445 for hard mode Voltan. And I'm not even kidding. Like, you can check it yourself. They're releasing that little patch next week, probably, or the week after. I'm not sure when they're going to release it, either June or July. But that's the main thing in the game, is the not playing it. Now, the game gets worse, as I said, the people can't wait in queues, they get less gear, they can't get upgrades, and basically get further and further behind the curve, and basically they're doing not less tier content, but previous tier content with people who are on ults trying to get carried through, or maybe they don't play with their friends anymore because they're too low geared to be playing with their friends. And that what leads to the issue of people quitting the MMO, is that people don't have friends to play with, even if they find new ones and stuff like that. Sometimes they may not. And Lost Ark actually does a really bad job at doing this, is when some people are just gated out of content based on the different eye levels, and not encouraged to do the previous content and stuff like that as well. And this is what happens here as well. It's like, if someone misses a day, it means 1 man out of 8 may not be able to do Voltan, and they've got to find another person. And if the whole thing cascades, is that person can't play with their friends anymore, that player doesn't enjoy the game, they quit, and it just cascades. The group may fall apart, then they all quit, and it cascades and cascades and cascades and cascades. And this is what the problem that the queues are doing, is because one person can't get on, therefore they have to wait, that person may not get their dailies done, that person may fall behind in gear. And that's why the game is actually dying. It's not because of the bots, it's not because of the RMTs, it's because people actually can't play the game because of the queues. And that's what Lost Ark and Smilegate really need to target. It's not the fact they have to brag about the 800k numbers to China. Fuck China. Okay? You want to make sure your game is able to be accessible and you're able to get in and hop in right away. You don't want to have a person waiting on a 20k queue. Because if any rival game gets out and becomes just as popular, your game's basically dead in the water until those queues are gone. Okay? That's pretty much it. Now a lot of people will be like, oh, it's the bots, blah, blah, blah. You could increase your server capacity by like 10 to 20 times, and you'd probably get the same amount of bots because of the demand of RMT, but you have a lot more people in the game, and a lot more people enjoying it, and a lot less complaints on the forums, because you won't notice the bots, okay? As I've said in the previous video, if you don't see the bots, you don't notice the amount of bots there are, okay? Now someone's going to be like, oh, that's called, blinding the problem because you don't see it, therefore it doesn't happen. That's the logic of it, because it works. That's what happens. But if you don't see it, you don't know what occurs until you actually see it and people put a light on it. And this is what's occurred here, is that it actually doesn't matter how much RMT and bots there are. As long as there's no queues, your gameplay will be unhindered, basically. Okay? Unless you obviously group with the bots or anything like that. With MMORPGs in a nutshell, it is generally your community that you hang out with. That's the lifeblood of the game. So if your community all play it and keep playing it and are able to play it when they want to, it'll be a great experience. But then when they would get bored of it and they die out and they quit and stuff like that, that's when the game slowly dies down. The game slowly doesn't die down because numbers go down. It's because the community itself falls apart, essentially. And a lot of people highlight the Steam numbers and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's about the people playing the game. If they enjoy it, and they enjoy being together while playing it. Because that's what I've noticed for a lot of these, people who are quitting and stuff like that. Is because one of their teammates couldn't get on one night and stuff like that. It happens over and over and over again. And that's why people goes to different MMOs and different MMORPGs as well. And that's the main thing that's killing Lost Ark, is that gearing. You got to be roughly around the same gear level, and you got to be a certain gear level to do content. Now later on, let's just say they up server capacity by 10 times, and there's no queues ever again, you'll see a lot of people enjoying the game, and you'll see a lot less complaining on the forums, because people aren't sitting in queues and people aren't bored out of their minds. Now with queues as well, people generally tolerate it from the first time to time, but after a couple of times, people stop tolerating it, and they may seek to look at other games, being like, oh, I don't want to sit in a Lost Ark queue for like 2 hours, so you want to play Diablo Immortal instead? Bam. That person is most likely not going to go back to Lost Ark after playing Diablo Immortal for probably 2 to 3 weeks, okay? Because once you miss out Lost Ark for 2 to 3 weeks, it's very hard to get back into the top. Okay? Now, a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's because they release content too quick. It actually isn't because they release content too quick. In fact, the content releases they've been doing is actually too slow. There have been a lot of people who have been 1460, 1470 for ages. And I think Volta and Black is going to be out for a couple of months. They release, like I say, if anything, they're releasing it too slow. But I reckon that they got right on the mark with it as well. They released Argos too early, 100%. They released Argos too early. And that's the only thing I agree with. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys liked, comment, and subscribed on the video. What do you guys think about what's killing Lost Ark anyway? Comment below. Have a great day, guys. See you later.